Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Hopefully you have become comfortable with our module or our structure here within CSW103 Intro to Web Design, and you have reached this point where you are getting ready to complete your first lab. I did want to kind of walk you through this one because this is the crucial one. This is you setting things up for success. This is making sure that you have your folders in place and you're understanding the steps that you are completing. Our textbook does a great job of walking through both in a Windows machine as well as a Mac, so make sure you still do that reading even though I'm going to walk through this. So if you're at this point, that means that you have gone to content, you have gone down and you've worked through all the start here module, and you've completed the syllabus quiz, your introduction post, and you are now down here at lab number 1. You will actually read part of the textbook, so if you haven't already accessed that, make sure you do get that. And then there's the steps that you're going to follow through. So what the steps are is that you are using a text editor. We have two programs, a text editor and the browser that we use in this class. You'll notice over on the right, I have multiple browsers available to me. So I've got good old-fashioned Google Chrome here that is number 1 by many. Firefox, Safari because I am on a Mac. I also have Opera installed down here. And there are others that if you are on a Windows machine, like Edge is now the standard that has replaced Internet Explorer. So use them, install multiple browsers, become comfortable with it, because we're going to be talking about some of the differences in how the code we write displays if you're in one browser versus another. And there's a huge difference with some of them. So I definitely encourage, and it's noted in the syllabus, that you install at least 2 of the browsers, but I'd encourage you to install all of the ones and beyond for yours. We are, for this particular lab, we are going to use TextEdit if you are on a Mac, or you will use Notepad if you are on a Windows-based machine. On the Mac, in the instructions, I gave this extra step, but this is a vital one. Right now, TextEdit likes to think that it's a word processor. It is more powerful than a plain old text editor, but the text editor is what we want. We don't want the system to do formatting for us. So if you are on a Mac, open up TextEdit and then go up to Format and tell it to make it plain text before you even start typing in here. And then notice how all of that extra stuff that was at the top, it goes away. What you will then want to do, once you've got that open, is you will want to make sure that that stays your setting within TextEdit, at least for the moment. So we go up to TextEdit Preferences and Open and Save, and up at the very top here, you are going to want to tell it to display HTML files as HTML code instead of formatted text. So this means that you're not going to have those extra bars that were displayed when we first opened this up, at least when you open up an HTML file with TextEdit. So what I'm going to do right off the bat is I'm going to do a file, and I like to save my files right away. I do like the expanded view, and again, if you're on a Mac, you know what I'm talking about. I have invested in an iCloud for myself. I know Mount Union provides OneDrive. I definitely encourage you to use that. Also, you can get access to an H drive. So if you want to use the school-provided drives, you can also do that. Let me know if you're looking to do an H drive. If you're a sophomore or above, you already have access to your H drive, and hopefully you've been using it. But for right now, I'm not going to follow the instructions. I'm just going to say, hello world, and I'm going to add my file extensions. If you've never paid attention to what comes after the dot in a file, that is a file extension. That tells the computer what program to actually use when you're opening this up. We are using HTML files because we're going to view it in a browser, but we edit it in a text editor, which again is what our text edit is. So that's my file name. but I'm actually going to go to my desktop just for demo purposes here, and I'm going to create a folder, and you will have to do this as part of your lab. We are actually CSW103, and I'm going to put my last name on this just so that I know that this is my folder and I don't have to worry about that path at any point if I'm submitting stuff at the course level, which we typically don't, but it's just a safety precaution. So I'm going to create this. Within the lab, it's also going to tell you to create a week 1 folder. Personally, I recommend that you train yourself to mark your folders, especially as an academic, and if you're a freshman, create folders for every semester, every class, and keep all of your information in there. I personally use my desktop for this purpose, and this is not necessarily good, but I do use my desktop throughout the semester, and then I back everything up, or I use like my cloud account for during the semester, and then I back everything up and store it somewhere else after. I put a letter F. So we've got 2020, it's the fall semester. This is CSW103. And actually, since I'm inside that folder, I don't necessarily need that, but we're in week 1, and then I'm going to stick my last name in here. So I've told it this is my fall semester, this is my CSW103, we're working on week 1, and then your last name. And when you are submitting stuff, you will need to have that last name there, but I will always remind you that you're going to do it, but train yourself right from the start. So I'm creating, so now I've got that folder inside of my CSW folder. So if we take a look at this, I've got the CSW folder as a whole. Inside that, I've got my week 1 folder. This will help keep you organized because each week you're going to have different web pages and multiple web pages that you're going to have to hang on to. I'm going to show you some tips and tricks, but I'll save that for a little bit later on how to navigate and make this a little easier. So I'm, again, not worrying about anything down here because that'll be good. And then it will prompt me, again, this is on a Mac, it's going to prompt me because I changed it from a text file. And it's saying, do you really want to change this to an HTML file? And yes, we do. We are creating HTML files. So per the instructions, and I'm going to do a little cheat here and I'm going to copy and paste it over here. But per the instructions within the lab, you are going to type this all in. Pay attention to the spacing. There is spacing here. And when we get into a different text editor that will install next week or week 3 after this, for this week, just use either Notepad or TextEdit. But when we move to week 2, we will actually transition to a different text editor. But you'll notice we have our 4 required tags. That includes the HTML opening tag and its pair of a closing. And I see I have a typo. The closing tag always has a slash in the front of it. Then we have the head, and again, that's nested inside, so it's indented over. It has an opening head, closing head. Inside the head, the only thing we're putting right now is the title tag. So we put our opening tag and our end tag. And what you're going to find as we move along, I'm always going to have you put a hyphen and then your last name. It just makes it nice and easy to make sure that when I'm grading your work, when I'm giving you your credit, and that I don't accidentally have somebody else's file still open. So it's a safety check. Then, so we've got the head. That displays up in this browser area. So it used to be that there was this title bar up at the top. It would display there. We've now got it where we can actually do multiple tabs. So what you type into this title displays in that tab. The body then is the body of the web page. So that is whatever is going to go down here. So if we were to look at the code for D2L, this is all the body of this particular web page. In this case, you are doing a heading level 1, which we're going to learn about this week, and put in the welcome to my first web page. Then you're going to create a paragraph under it stating that this is an HTML page that I created in TextEdit in my case. If you're on a Windows machine, you say Notepad. And then you close your body tag and you close your HTML tag. You save it. I'm a Control S person, so on a Mac that is actually Command S. And save frequently. It always will tell you, so if I go in here and I type something new, it lets me know that this is edited. But save, save, save. And especially before you try to view your web page in a browser, make sure that your code itself has been saved. 9 out of 10 times, if it's not doing what you want it to do or what you expected it to do in the browser, odds are when you go back to your text editor, you didn't save your file. Because again, we write our code within a text editor, but we view the code in a browser. So we're using 2 different programs to make our web page. So now I've got my web page created. I'm going to go back to my file, and I'm going to right-click on this and tell it to open this file with, let's go with Google Chrome because I have that open. Yep, I do want to allow it. And there it is. So now I can look up here and see this is my computer. I'm on the desktop. I'm in the folder that I created for CSW103. Then this is my week 1 folder, and this is my file. And notice it is an HTML file. I have, just like in Microsoft Word, I have that heading level 1, and then I have a standard paragraph. And at this, you will put that there, just leave it click like that. Then bring your folder like this if you want. Actually, I don't think the instructions tell you to show you the folder, but you do need to take a screen capture of this like this, where you're showing it in the browser, but you're also showing me the code that you wrote, and then you should have your last name in the file itself. You will submit that to Lab1, and just to verify that you were able to successfully type and view your code. And congratulations on creating your first HTML web page. Please stop by my Q&A sessions. I've got a number of them scheduled this week, or email me if you do want to schedule an individual session. We can always just jump into Zoom and do that, and use the general questions forum. That is always a great place to get assistance. So happy web page making.